Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be going over Ivanova, the League Season 10 limited edition tune, and I'm just going to kind of talk about what I like about her, what I don't like about her, and some of the gameplay that you could use her in. So firstly, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. And now when we're jumping into the video here, Ivanova, I know a lot of people are harping on her just because her rush is not the greatest. Her leadership skill leaves a little bit to be desired just because people were kind of expecting her to have that plus 50% attack boost to all melee teammates, kind of like how Princess does plus 50% to all ranged. But she still is a solid leader. What I don't like about her rush is that 450% damage isn't that high of a percentage, especially when it's only to a line of enemies. Those enemies get 2000 trauma and minus 25% defense for 3 turns. Her rush does not wow me. The 2000 trauma damage just doesn't seem that relevant because to cause trauma to actually occur, it's under some very specific conditions, meaning you have to apply trauma to some tunes, and then you also need to apply some other debilitating status effects, so the minus 25% defense would count, but only if the enemy tunes recover from the minus 25% defense with an ability. So not after 3 turns where they naturally recover, but you would need a tune like Zachary, for example, to rush, who recovers all penalties, or Marlon and Rosie, who rushes and recovers all penalties from themselves. So this is just a very limited rush, and I personally would not level up her rush. I would see it as more of a waste of trainers at this time, just because the meta does not use trauma at all, really. So I just feel like they could have added something else to her rush to make it a little more relevant, so even if it applied some bleed damage, for example. Now when we move on to Ivanova's active skill, this part is very relevant to me, and in my opinion, this active skill makes her to be a very effective tune. Now, her active skill does an attack up as well as focus to her teammates. So it's a turn 2 active skill, and all teammates will get plus 25% attack, which is pretty low, but they also get focus for 2 turns, and this focus ability is so useful and critically important that I think it makes Ivanova a great tune. So what focus does, just as a reminder, it allows all tunes under the influence of focus to ignore the effects of taunt and confuse, as well as you can avoid human shields, so you can attack around them. Your tunes will be getting kind of a bluey glow around them, which tells you who is focused and who isn't. So this ability just allows you to fight through the conditions of confuse and taunt. But the biggest part is, if you know the defending team is going to taunt you, you can use this as a protective measure and then still mod your tunes in response to that. So if you have tunes with attack up when taunted, your tunes will still be getting that mod buff, even though your tune is not forced to attack the taunting tune. This bonus from a mod, like attack up when taunted, would also be applied to your tune's rush, which your tune can do if they're focused. And finally, what I like about Ivanova is that she's a strong character, or a green one, meaning she can hold a stun on attack weapon, for example, which can help give you more control over any situation. I really enjoy using my stun on attack weapons just because if I know a tune is stunned, I know that there's a limited number of ways to recover from it, and it just buys me time as well as allows me to gain some AP off of them. And now, when I think of Ivanova, I immediately think of a counter to S-Class Princess, or even 6-star Princess, but mostly the S-Class Princess on defense. She's a tune that you see on a lot of defenses at the moment. She shows an enormous amount of versatility by being able to be used on attack teams as well as defense teams. Her rush applies a high amount of damage to a line of enemies, while also giving herself bonus HP as well as extra defense if she's on defense at the time. Her specialist skill means whenever she's attacked, she actually gets more attack points because of Berserker, and then her active skill can normalize, taunt, and there's an AP gain to self. So her active skill is a turn 2 active skill. If she's on a defending team, it means you can use Ivanova's active skill to focus your team before she uses this ability. By focusing before Princess is able to taunt your team, it means you won't be forced to attack her and potentially trigger her weapon, which would buff her attack more. You won't add AP to her, so you're less likely to trigger her for the third turn, where she may rush a line and kill off one or two teammates. Nor will you trigger her Berserker ability, meaning she won't get these attack buffs. It just allows you to exhibit a lot more control over the situation. As I mentioned before, the ideal mods to run on a team that has Ivanova, and if you know that there are defending toons that will taunt you like Princess, like Dr. Stevens, like a number of different toons, then this attack up when taunted mod is super effective because your toon is still able to normally attack and rush if they're focused, but taunted or confused. So you may as well leverage the opponent's defensive team with this offensive mod. And now, shout out to Raz for this great film just to show how you can effectively use Ivanova on a turn 2 attack team where she is the lead. Now, this team that's put together, is not that difficult to make in my opinion, because Dr. Stevens has been made readily available for a lot of players. He's been in a lot of boxes that you could get for about $10. Harper is a toon that's been in a few wheels already, and there's a lot of toons that you could use instead of Harper, because her main purpose is that she is a defense and attack down toon, so by cutting the defense in half and help set up a Rov more. So Ivanova offering that plus 25% attack gives everyone that bonus. That focus ability is huge as well. So the combination between defense down as well as attack up helps line up a Rov attacks a lot more. Now in this video, we subbed out Harper for Diego because Diego can do minus 65% defense to the enemy, to the single toon and then all enemies adjacent, which can be very effective because it cuts the defense even more than Harper does. So now on this upcoming turn, we're going to use Ivanova's active skill for that attack up again and that focus, just to show you that we can now attack behind the human shield. So we got that minus 65% defense applied to all. It lined up a Rov to rush the first line, the second line with follow-up, and if we choose, we could end up command rushing a Rov again here, but it's a bit of a dangerous play because he wouldn't be able to rush this turn, and it's hard to know if Pete will survive sometimes. And for this other video here, it's just to show you that there are a lot of different toons that could sub in for that Harper or Diego position, like even Dale is an option because he has a minus 60% defense bonus, and he's also a command toon. He's a little redundant on his active skill, same as Diego with a focus ability, but he also has 100% heal reduction as his active skill, which can be quite useful. There's really a large variety of toons that you could sub into this position, and as I mentioned before, with almost all of these toons being easily attainable, like Rov, you can kind of grind him out. Nick was in the league store, but you could use the 6-star Maggie. Ivanova is in the season store, and everyone has her available. With Dr. Stevens, he's been in a lot of boxes lately, so this team is very doable, in my opinion, for many people, which makes it very feasible. And now to kind of show you like my version of this team where I don't use Ivanova as a lead. So this is actually some war film that I did during this past cross-regional war. And I'm actually utilizing Merlin and Rosie here just because I think he will be a very effective toon, especially because I have that attack up when taunted on him. As you see, he just did 2,500 damage to a Rov on a basic attack. And that doesn't include on the chances where he does a double attack, like right there. He just did 3,600 damage, and that was just on a basic attack that double attacked. So there's just a lot of usability, in my opinion, with Ivanova. Like, she can be used as a leader for a lot of people who don't have a melee lead, but she can also be used as a strong support character. I did not end up leveling up her rush just because I don't like it very much, but I leveled up her active skill to the max. I still think I have a lot of work to do with Ivanova and for this team. She's not a toon I'm very familiar with, so I don't have a ton of film on her yet, but I do hope in the future I can kind of give you guys a bit of a show on how I will utilize her moving forward, because I think she is very relevant for a lot of players. If any of you have used her this past weekend, I would love to know the types of teams that you were using her on and how effective you found her. Also, if there are any types of videos that you want me to cover, I have a huge list of them that I'm trying to get through at the moment, but I'm always interested to hear from you guys what you would like to see as well. I will have a war video coming out very soon about this last cross-regional war and kind of what I thought of it, how I battled, where my faction placed, and I will also be introducing a new attack team that I was using in maybe 30% of my matches because I found it to be the most successful team at the time. Now right here in the match, my team is focused, Princess is using her active skill, so it normalizes my tunes, but I'm not forced to attack. You'll also notice that when Marlon and Rosie attacked for 3,400 damage, there was also the attack boost that came up over his name in the bottom left-hand corner, just to show you that he still got the attack buff from the attack up when taunted mod, even though he was not forced to attack Princess. Thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video on S-Class Ivanova.